Pat said
Yeah.
he doesn't know anything about it.
Right.
So he said I had to ask you about
Yeah.
the dog soldier
Yeah.
of the day. Is that just something defensive coaches came up with, a player of the day, or what's behind
Yeah,
that?
we've been trying to. We've got what we call cats, which are crimes against the team, and then we've also got dogs, and those are the guys that are making the big time plays. So we took that a step further. We gave them a little bit of a history lesson about the Cheyenne Indian dog soldier, which was a soldier in the Cheyenne Indian who would stick their stake in the ground and would not leave. So part of the hashtag that we've been using is no surrender, no retreat. And really just trying to emphasize to our guys just the importance of finishing, making plays, so they get points for the dogs and they get points for the crimes against the team. And they got a little competition going between the position groups. And then every day they got a competition going between themselves, for the dog soldier of the day. And then we thought, let's take it a step further and give them a little publicity. So they've enjoyed it. And when we started sending their, just like you thought they would, when we started sending their picture out, then they really got into it. They like it now. So it's been good, though. It's been good.
I think it was Elijah on Saturday. I mean, he, how did he do on Saturday and just this spring?
He's had a really good spring. It was unfortunate the injury that he had, last fall in that first game, because I thought his progress was going to be really remarkable. And when he came in, this spring, he kind of picked up where he left off. And he's bigger, he's stronger, he's more explosive. He's starting to use it a lot better, which is encouraging to see. So, yeah, I mean, he's had a really good spring. He had a really good scrimmage, this last scrimmage, but just gives us some more athleticism out there, a guy that can run, especially to the boundary. Within our system, with what we do, that guy's got to be able to run with the wheel routes and do some things. And I think he'll be a really good dimension for us, going into fall, and keeping him healthy will be important.
Those little subplots or narratives or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Does that just kind of, keep them engaged in springtime and stuff like that when, I guess it can get a little repetitive?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you're always looking, I think, you try to pride yourself in being a teacher and being an educator. And, I used to always enjoy going to teachers or professors in college that would, give you something just different all the time and keep changing it up. And we try to change it up, try to keep it fresh. But, yeah, they like that, and it gives them some competition when you don't have a game, at the end of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
It just gives them something to kind of shoot for, but it's been good, yeah.
But at the same time, I guess it does reinforce some of the biggest things you want to get across in terms of what you want to do defensively, right?
It really does, and I mean, so we have, we probably have a list of 7 or 8 different categories where you can get your dog points. An example would be the obvious ones like an interception or a fumble, but ones that may not go as noticed are the fumble, strip attempts, the rakes, the PBUs, ball disruption. So we're monitoring all that, and just getting guys to understand the importance of it, and then we try to show it on tape as much as we can, and it does reinforce the things that you're trying to get taught.
So the cats would be like a whiff on a tackle or on a coverage?
Yeah, like a crime against a team would be a third down, and you give up the third down because you miss an assignment, or you give up an explosive play. And it's got to be like a blown assignment or blown coverage, or a missed tackle would be another one. So yeah, we have a loaf. If you're not running the football, that'd be a crime against the team. So that's just, we have probably 8 or 9 categories that we monitor there as well.
Do you see in the group of linebackers you're going to use opportunities for more impact plays, plays on the ball, turnovers, things like that you've had in the past?
I don't know if I'd say I see more. I think that the more comfortable that they get in the system, the defensive system, I think they understand where they fit. You can kind of take it to the second and third teaching progression in terms of, we're a gap control defense. So you get those guys to understand and get to your gap. And then they got to understand, well, the offensive lineman coming to you, can I snap underneath it and still get to my gap? Can I use his body to get to the gap, to cancel out the gap? And those are the things that you just take time for guys to learn. And, I think with the athleticism that we got at that position, they can do some of those different things, some of those higher level things, which is encouraging to see.
Talked about Zeiss. I think Avante might have been a previous dog soldier, from what I remember. Is there anybody in particular you're looking to see Saturday, what they do kind of when the lights come on and the people are in the seats?
No, not necessarily. We just, our big thing this spring has just been get 3% better. And that's one thing that Coach Dews has been stressing, and we really try to stress that as well. If guys can just focus on getting 3% better, and everybody's different, and I look at, like, for example, the safeties. You got a guy like Jordan Whitehead. who is kind of at the further end of his career. He's been here, you know, a couple springs. He's gone through the install. Finding his 3% is a lot different than a guy like Bryson Gardner finding his 3%. And if they don't worry about, well, I got to be equivalent to Jordan Whitehead, or I've got to be equivalent to Quentin Virginis, I just got to get better every single day. Pretty soon your whole football team is going in that direction. Your defense is going in that direction, and you know it pays off as far as building depth. And then you get guys overtaking some guys at certain spots.
Would Elijah be competing with Sean at that money spot?
No, well, he's
Or
with
they-
Brightwell, Salim Brightwell. Those are the two guys that
They're-
are
but they're
competing.
money.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're trying Elijah both places, right?
We are. We'll use them both at the Star and the Money. Yeah. Right now, we've you know it's been Sean and McKee at the Star linebacker. We've been using Brightwell and Elijah at the Money, and we felt like Elijah's got a pretty good feel for the Star linebacker right now, and we
played it last year.
because he played it last year. So we wanted to try him into the boundary just to get as much athleticism out there as we can.
So when it comes down to picking the 3 best guys,
Yeah.
he's not necessarily bound by one spot. He could potentially be either one.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. We've done the same thing. We've done the same thing at safety. We felt like, you know, Jordan Whitehead had a lot of reps at boundary safety. He does fit that position really well because he can erase a lot of things and he doesn't have a lot of covered responsibility. And we felt like, you know, if we can get him to the field this spring and let him take as many reps there as he can, once we kind of figure out our best 4 safeties, our best 3 safeties, our best 2 safeties, then we can kind of manipulate, you know, where we put each guy. So if we need to move him back to boundary, we can do that. And we've done that with Stocker and a little bit. And some of the younger guys, you don't want to mess with their mind because it is a little bit different. But some of those older guys, you can do that with.
Has Whitehead done well in that spot? Does he fit into it?
Yeah, he fits really well. He fits really well. He's actually turned himself into a pretty good coverage guy, which I think will benefit himself, you know, moving forward when he's done at Pitt. And that was one thing we talked about. And, you know, I think he's really accepted it. The one thing, he doesn't have a lot of competition, in all honesty. You try to generate that competition. Stocker's pushing him now the last 2 or 3 practices, but he's done a great job of just approaching it every single day like a pro and really trying to find, again, that 3% that we were talking about to make himself better.
Is that field safety position particularly one where like decisions are important, and maybe there's an advantage to having experience there? You had 2 seniors there last year.
Yeah, I think when we went back and looked at the cut-ups and when you look at, you know, the guy that played there last year, it's almost like your 3rd corner position. It's a guy that has to be able to play off coverage because there's so much pressure on that guy. When we went back and you looked at the cut-ups, you know, maybe not as explosive as we needed to be at times at that position. So you're trying to find a guy that's really twitched up, has got a lot of explosive power out of the top, but also has got to be able to cover a number 2. So he's got to have a really dynamic skill set. And a lot of times it's your 3rd best corner, or the guy that you feel like is the next best off coverage guy. And when we brought Jordan in, you know, he was a corner, and we felt like that would fit well, and we felt like he could tackle the bubbles and do those things. So that's why we made that move. And then, you know, we've had some other younger guys develop as well. And, you know, you look at the freshmen, you don't ever bank on freshmen coming in, but a guy like Paris Ford could probably play both of them based on his coverage skill set. So that was the thought process behind it.
Anything final for Coach Conklin?